Well, hello folks. Welcome to the third video in our series on congenital rubella syndrome here on Nick's Vision to Hear. Let's recap our second video and you can go back and have a look at that one. It talked about the vaccine rollout in the 60s, 70s and into the 80s, and also talked about how information flowed very different in those days. So go back and have a look at that particular video. So today's video is going to talk about rubella today. Does it still exist? Sadly, it does. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about this because it's very important to understand that it is still in some populations. And why this is important is because we see a lot of mass migration around the world these days. People move a lot. Now, the same thing happened in the 60s and 70s. With the idea to move around the world, there was a lot of migration happened in the 60s. Plane travel became more common. People moved around a lot more. So that's when problems occur with something like the rubella virus. So it's believed that it is still in places like African countries, some of them, also in places like Indonesia and India. And there's also a gap in immunization in China that's causing them a bit of a problem because they started a vaccination program for women in 2008. So there's women of childbearing age in China that could actually be still at risk of getting the rubella virus. So it's very important we understand all this, where everything leads today, as to where we look at our key points of where we are today. So now let's talk about a connection between a recent pandemic, which we spoke about in the previous video. COVID-19 was a lot of hype around it, which is understandable. But what it actually did, it caused a problem for us. We dropped the ball on the MMR vaccine, which is for mumps, measles, and rubella. So there was a real problem that this started to cause a problem. We're now seeing children possibly not immunized against this due to the hype around COVID. So that's a really important thing we need to understand. We need to catch these kids up in that immunization situation. Now, I'm going to talk about something today about other people who are in this space. Elsa Shinison Henry, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's a lady in America who has done a book called Being Seen is the name of the book. And she's talking about rubella. She was born in the mid-80s. So she's past the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s. So she comes into that later space. She actually talks about that in her book. And I actually have seen a talk she did on YouTube. If you get a chance to do that, feel free to have a look at it. It's very interesting. She talks about the deaf blindness factor of rubella. So in this video, we talk about the holistic viewpoint. So kudos to her. She's done fantastic work. She talks about also Helen Keller. So I may do a video at some point about Helen Keller's story. It's a very interesting one to look into historically. So let's now talk about something that was another person that wasn't for rubella, but this is to do with HIV and AIDS. Rubella has never had that famous person moment. Now, HIV and AIDS did. They had Freddie Mercury, which sadly, the great musician he was and a very talented man, he sadly died of HIV AIDS. So very, very sad story. But rubella didn't have that moment. We didn't have anybody to be able to, as I crunch my notes, had that idea to be able to use that as the promotion of that to say, you know, get looked after, be careful. We didn't have that with rubella. So that's where I draw that conclusion to talking about Freddie Mercury. So I guess without us, you need us. So that's what Elsa and I are here for. We're here to talk on behalf of the people who have rubella, to be able to talk about it in the public town square. And that's important for us to be part of that conversation. We lived our life with it. So it's very important to understand that. So in closing today, what I'd like to do is get your feedback. Are you a person who is a sufferer and a survivor of congenital rubella syndrome? Let's talk about that. Let's get this into the comments and start talking about it, because it's very important to understand that we really do need to get this back into the public arena. It does need to be talked about, because if this gets back into populations en masse, we could sadly see another generation of children that could witness what we saw. Very, very sad state of affairs for those who are survivors of it. And sadly, there were children who died from this. It's very important to understand that. It's not just the survivors, it's those who died due to complications of the disease. So that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, feel free to like the video. And if you're listening to this on an audio device, why not just simply enjoy the content. That's what we do. That's why my videos are based around me talking with no graphics. It's simply just so you can listen to it or watch it. It's catered for people who are vision and hearing impaired. That's why I speak clearly. I also have a radio background, so that's why I'm able to deliver this in a professional way. That is another video here on Nick's Vision to Hear. Great to have you with us here, and feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel and search for Nick's Vision to Hear on Facebook. You'll find our Facebook page. Feel free to follow that as well. Thanks for joining us on Nick's Vision to Hear.